So, it's a season of theory of knowledge again. That time of the year when people try to examine how they learn. And it is very important that we try to help simplify the essay titles. So, this morning, what I just want to quickly do is to tell you very simple stories about these titles, and they will help to unlock the very essentials of each title. This will be very useful for you, I hope. I hope. So, the first question is basically saying that in the production of knowledge, does it matter that observation is an essential but flawed tool? And you've been asked to discuss with reference to two natural sciences, the natural sciences, and one other area of knowledge. Now, the point is a scientist in a rainforest, for instance, watches brightly colored frogs through his binoculars, and she notes their mating patterns. But because of the fog and her limited perspective, she misses key details. Later, another researcher uses a more sophisticated technological device and discovers that half of her observations were wrong. Now, watch this. Still, without her initial fieldwork, the new technology would not have known where to take off. So, the initial observation is very important. The story shows that observation is indispensable, but also unreliable, than raising the TOK question about whether flawed tools are enough to produce real knowledge. And that's question number one. Question number two tells us something. It goes thus. It says, to what extent do you agree that doubt is central to the pursuit of knowledge? Doubt. Answer with reference to two areas of knowledge. Question number two leaves you with an opportunity to use any two areas of knowledge. Now we're looking at doubt as central to knowledge. And this is a simple story that will help you think. I hope it does explicitly portray what you really need to do. So we think about this. A philosopher student reads Socrates and begins to doubt everything, even her own senses. This constant questioning frustrates her friends, but she applies it in biology class, challenging long accepted experiment setup. Her doubts uncover a flaw, leading to a better method. Doubt here is both a burden and a driving force, showing how being skeptical can push knowledge forward or stall it if taken too far. So, moderation is encouraged. Yes, doubt is important, but doubt must be controlled. That's question number two. Question number three is asking us to think about this. Is the power of knowledge determined by the way in which knowledge is conveyed? Discuss with reference to mathematics and one other area of knowledge. So, what are we looking at here in question number three? Question number three, we're looking at the power of knowledge depending on how it is conveyed. At the center of this question is communication, the concept of communication. So let's think about this story. So a mathematician discovers a new theorem about something, but publishes it in dense symbolic language that no one could understand. Years later, another teacher explains the same theorem through a simple visual puzzle, and suddenly the idea spreads worldwide. The knowledge itself didn't change. What changed? You can pause the video at this point to answer the question. What changed? Indeed, communication changed. This raises the TOK puzzle. Is knowledge powerful only when others can grasp it? The fourth question asks us to think about this. In the acquisition of knowledge, can we only understand something to the extent that we understand its context? Discussed with reference to two areas of knowledge. So in essence, we're saying is context important in arriving at a credible understanding of whatever is before you? Think about this story. A tourist visits an ancient temple. To him, the carvings just look like pretty patterns. Later, a historian explains that they represent a story of drought, sacrifice, and survival. Suddenly, the same carvings feel full of meaning. The tourist realizes that without context, he could never really understand what he was looking at. The story shows how context shapes knowledge. Context is very important. Without context, you don't have a clear background to whatever you're discussing. So this question is drawing our attention to the value of context. Question number 5 is asking us something very interesting. And it says, to what extent do you agree with the claim that all things are numbers? I'm sure math teachers will like this question a lot. All things are numbers. Answer with reference to the arts and the human sciences. I mean, this question does not even prioritize math. I mean, that's funny. It's asking that in looking at it, one would think that mathematics should be the first area of knowledge that should be considered, but no, not math. Now, let's think about this story in relation to this question. So, a musician is composing a symphony. She notices that the intervals she loves most, such as the octaves, what's called the fifth, the fourth, can be expressed as simple ratio. Meanwhile, a psychologist measures how people respond emotionally to the same intervals. Both conclude that there might be something numerical at the root of beauty and human feelings. Something numerical, that's interesting, at the root of beauty, numerical. But then a painter suddenly shows up on the scene and says, my colors aren't numbers, they are emotions. That shows that there is tension in the claim by Pythagoras that all things are numbers. It is that tension that you need to negotiate a balance in this question. And then the last question says, to what extent is interpretation a reliable tool in the production of knowledge? Answer with reference to history and one other area of knowledge. Interpretation is a key word in this question. So we're looking at interpretation as a tool for knowledge. Now, consider this story. A historian finds a diary from a World War II soldier. One interpretation sees it as a patriotic record. Another views it as a propaganda. A third thinks the soldier was secretly criticizing his government. Now, which interpretation is true? Each gives knowledge, but also uncertainty. The story captures how interpretation can unlock meaning, but also distort it. And that is the central tension that you are dealing with in these questions. So these 6 questions, stories, will just help you do some more reflection on the 6 titles, Theory of Knowledge. I hope it helps. And watch out for more videos. You have to go back and see how you can structure these questions. There'll be more discussions on each questions as the days go by until you're submitting them. My name is Lawrence. TUK Talks.